Pricing your home can be one of the trickiest parts to selling your home. Today, we're talking about how we help you get it right.
Thanks for tuning in to the Realtor Moms Podcast. I'm Tasha.
And I'm Jamie. We're full-time realtors in the FM and surrounding areas and admittedly average moms. This is how we sell homes
And try to keep our kids alive.
Thank you for tuning in, Realtor Moms Podcast listeners. Today, Tasha and I are talking about pricing your home right.
Yes, exactly.
It probably feels like the obvious question that every seller asks, and that's kind of why we decided we wanted to make a podcast about it, or maybe even a few episodes about it. So it's part of one of the maybe most difficult parts of our job, but also the thing that we kind of emphasize a specialty in, because it is not as easy as going online and looking up an automatic valuation.
Yes, it's not that easy. And there's more to it than just what meets the eye.
Right.
So we have some fun topics, or not so fun topics, depending on how you look at it, to cover with you today.
Well, right. So it's jumping off right kind of where I started with the online valuations. There are a million different websites that you can go to, and according to the website, you can just add your address and it'll spit out a number, exactly what your house is worth.
Heck,
done deal.
You can even get that on AI now.
Yeah,
like ChatGPT and Claude and all those sites that they'll even give you price evaluations.
And we're not saying that they're 100% wrong 100% of the time. That's not the case. But I don't think that they're very reliable because they don't know anything about your house specifically or the market conditions. They're just sort of using an algorithm or an estimate of what's been happening in the past.
Correct. And they are pulling from many, many comparable sources.
Sure.
And when I say comparable, I mean homes that are comparables, that are the closest match to what your home is.
Well, we think they are.
But we have no way of knowing if they actually are the closest match to what your home is. And when we do our market evaluations, we are pulling specific homes that match up in very specific ways
to the best
of our ability
right.
to know that they are the best comparable to your home to come up with the best pricing.
Yeah, not only that, but we also look at what's out there presently for your competition.
Correct.
Because it's very rare that a buyer is just going to come look at your one house only and make an offer on that house. They are going to be deducing for their own purposes. Oh, do they like your home better than 123 Maple Street? Or do they like it better than 321 Elm Street? Or,
Correct.
Kind of where does it fall as far as value for the buyer in between the things that are currently on the market that you're essentially sort of competing with? So all that matters as well.
Each realtor can have a different way of doing things,
but, totally.
And have found ways that they feel work best for them. Like for me, I look at comparable homes to come up with the price range that I believe your home will sell within. But then I'm looking at the active homes and the homes that are under a pending contingency and looking at those to see where are the numbers looking for that price point and for those homes in comparison to what your home would sell for.
How do you feel about dollar per square foot, Tasha?
Oh, gosh. No, I'm not generally someone that quotes dollar per square foot very often.
It can be effective.
Yes.
It can be effective when, for example, comparing different condos inside the same building.
Correct.
Right? Because every other variable is being held constant. Same location, same HOA, same building, essentially. But, or even if you have a lot of, we call them comparables, but they're really just houses that are very, very similar to yours that have sold recently. So when there is a lot of those that are very, very similar, and we have some home styles that get repeated throughout our communities.
We do.
That can happen. Then potentially when they're in a similar neighborhood on a similar lot size with similar special assessments,
yes,
and so many
special
other similarities,
yes,
then we can look at dollar per square foot. But I don't want to say that we don't make some adjustments based on square footage, because the size of the interior of a home is still very important.
We take, how I like to look at it, instead of looking at dollar per square foot, we take it many levels deeper.
Yeah.
And so we're looking at things more thoroughly than just dollar per square foot, because what happens when you have different amenities in the home, different property to condition.
Condition is huge.
Condition is huge.
Yeah.
So we look at things at a much, much deeper level than that.
Let's talk about the time of the year.
Oh, yes.
How does that affect pricing?
we can see differences of 3% sale price differences for home sales from spring, summer to winter, fall.
Yeah.
I've seen 5%. We can see differences, but we will, at least I should say, in this area. I can't speak for other areas of the U.S., but in the Fargo-Moorhead, West Fargo, and surrounding area market, we do very much see a difference for the price point sales from spring, summer. So I would say spring, summer, then to fall, winter.
Yeah. Well, and think about it like this too. I work with a lot of people who are interested in lake property, and let me tell you what their motivation level is the day after Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Or right around the first of the year. It's not that high. Where the motivation starts coming in and more people start getting interested in looking at lake homes, for example, is when the weather just is starting to turn, and or maybe we've had a couple nice warm spring days. So reasonably thinking, then a seller can sort of expect to have more people interested, which then generally the increase in demand and interest can kind of push the price up at the same time. So seasonality can be very important. Not saying that there isn't some truth, though, to being one of the only homes on the market, which can also help you, because then you've got scarcity, right? So think about that time between Thanksgiving and New Year. It's not always a great time if we had to just pick the ideal time to list a house. But if you have to sell your home and it's in that time, it might not be a terrible thing because you may not have a whole lot of competition. So
we live in
all things that we think about.
We
when we're
live
pricing.
in a very weather-dependent market.
We do.
I say that all the time, but it really is the truth. So let's say if you have 5 comparable homes and you're going up and they're your competition, and from Thanksgiving to New Year's, it's going to be a tough time for you, and you may very well see your sale price being much less than if you were saying the only comparable home available. And that's the case pretty much, I think, all year round. But generally speaking, our market is very much dependent upon the weather. So
it does have a lot of impact.
Yes, correct.
Let's talk about emotional pricing.
Oh yeah.
So, and what I mean by that is we tend to feel like, well, this house is extra special because it's mine. I made these selections. I made these choices. And we agree. Like, I feel the same way about my house.
Yeah,
right?
The house to bring your babies home to. Like, the emotions are strong. And we're not saying they're not.
Right. About the selections inside them and the memories made inside the house. So we, unfortunately, we can't really attach a dollar value to that. And I know everybody listening knows that. But we have to sort of help you by, what we want to do is show you the proof. We want to show you the proof, whether it's by our CMA, which is our comparable market analysis, or just providing you with the other sales that have happened and other houses that we're competing against, to show you that the buyer that's coming in really doesn't have any care necessarily for how much money you are going to get out of the house. They want to make sure that for them, it's an emotional decision that makes sense for their pocketbook, for their budget.
Exactly.
And so, unfortunately, sometimes it can be upsetting when you just redesigned your bathroom in a very specific way that is very specific to you.
And you're not going to see
beautiful.
dollar for dollar on that renovation.
And yes, we can't necessarily assign the exact price that you paid for those renovations or those changes on top of the price of the home. So it's probably an obvious thing, but sometimes it can be a difficult conversation.
The other thing to bring up when we're talking about emotional pricing is when you are listed and you're chasing the market down. When you're
if we list too
high, yes. And then we take, then we're saying we're not getting the feedback and offers that we were expecting, and then we're chasing price drops and trying to chase the market and get back the activity we may have seen the first week. It can become like you're on a hamster wheel.
Right.
And how do you
just need to go a little bit lower to get the attention of the buyers, and then if that doesn't quite get their attention, then you feel like you have to go a little bit lower again and a little bit lower. That's what we mean by chasing the market down the hill. Like, we want you to price it effectively right out of the gate so that the offers that you get and the attention that you get is appropriate for what you have to sell. Correct. And sometimes that can mean that what's appropriate or what's average is 2 days on the market, or 10 days, or 10 weeks, or 10 months. It all depends on kind of the specifics of your home and how we price it accordingly. One more thing related to emotions is Be careful about how you respond when you get an offer on your home that you don't like.
Yes.
There's, a lot of times if a seller gets what we call a lowball offer, they feel like it's an insult. And what I try to remind my sellers is every showing that you had where somebody didn't make you an offer is far more insulting. Now, and it's not intended to be, but at least these folks probably
took the time
to
write you that
and
offer.
they probably put several hours into deciding whether or not to make the offer, how much it would be, maybe checking with their lender. And you know what? Sometimes those offers just don't come together when they're really far apart, but you're in a far more advantageous negotiating position as a seller to keep your emotions in check.
Correct.
To look at that offer for what it is, and if it's a terrible offer, that's okay. Say, you know what, thanks for the offer, but it's not one that I'm interested in.
Or you come back with a counter offer
more
in line with where you want to be at.
Yes.
I will say that, I guess the advice I've always given to my sellers when they've received lowball offers is you come back with that counter offer of where you want to be.
Right.
And from there, either the buyers still
can work with it,
or they walk away.
Right.
And
at least we tried.
At least we tried, and we know we didn't leave anything on the table.
Right. But yes, do whatever you can to protect your heart. Don't try not to be emotional about an offer. Even if it's a stinky one, at least it's an offer and it was a practice run. Right?
Correct. Yes. And then you know what to expect when the right offer does come in.
Yes. And speaking of offers, when we are pricing, sometimes we'll hear sellers say something like, well, if they don't like the price, they could just make an offer. It can be harder just to get people in the door if we're not priced appropriately.
Correct.
So that's not usually the most advantageous way to price a home, but it's always, I think I speak for the both of us, it's always up to the seller where to price their home. I tell my sellers that all the time. I will give you a recommendation, and I will work my hardest to get you what you want. But this price point comes with this kind of expectation versus maybe this higher price point comes with
different sets of expectations.
Yeah, maybe a little bit longer time on the market. Maybe you have to do some more repairs if you want to get that kind of price.
Correct.
Or some other caveats.
So it's, I guess with that, it's really important to decide, what do you want this process to look like? Do you want it to be, quick and easy and painless, or do you want it to be, or do you want it
extremely profitable and you're willing to wait just a little bit longer, or maybe do a few more things to make sure you're getting that
it's
top
weighing
dollar.
the pros and cons of each of your options. And I know Jamie and I love to sit down and chat with you guys about what you want that process to look like if you're ever interested.
Let's get specific and find you just the right way to price your house.
Correct.
Thanks for listening. Thanks so much for listening. If you liked what you hear, you can check out our library of tons more episodes on RealtorMomsPodcast.com. You can also find us on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or just about anywhere you listen to podcasts. And please never hesitate to reach out. We would love to be your realtors. This podcast is produced by Realtor Moms Podcast. Jamie R. Swenson, Park Company Realtors, 4170 41st Avenue South, Fargo, North Dakota.
And Tasha Barrett with Property Link Realty Group, brokered by Real, at 2534 University Drive, Fargo, North Dakota, 58103.